Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity today. Wow. So, I started high school about 11 years ago, and in that time, I have lost 8 people to suicide. I wasn't gonna cry, guys. The first 5, and I hate to reduce them to numbers, and I apologize, but just for the sake of time, the first 5 were students at my high school. The 6th was my best friend's brother, my best friend's first brother. The 7th was my best friend's second brother. And the 8th, as we all know, and are still processing ourselves, was our beloved science teacher at Helena High, Mr. McKim. So let's talk about the moment it happened, or the moments that it happened. I was a kid, a teenager. I was trying to navigate high school and figure out what that meant for me. I remember sitting in class, freshman year, art class, and there was a counselor in there, and they read over the intercom the same letter for all 5 students. I didn't know that at that time, of course. And that counselor would follow that student's class schedule for the day. But I just remember feeling shocked, confused. Like I said, I was a kid. There's nothing that can prepare you for that. And there's nothing that should prepare a kid for that, or shouldn't have to, I should say. I remember staring at her empty seat, being so confused, like, why isn't she gonna come back to class? I had a hard time accepting that. And honestly, I think the hardest part of that grieving process throughout high school was how I felt it was just swept under the rug. You know, there would be extra counselors on site for a few days, and then we were just expected to keep going to class, keep showing up, and people stopped talking about them. That was really hard. And you know, people didn't talk about mental health like they do now, 10 years ago. And it wasn't as prevalent as it is on social media either, a spot where, you know, teenagers go to seek solace and advice. And at that time, it was still a commonly held belief that if you talked about suicide, you know, others were more likely to follow. And since I'm standing here today, I'm sure you can tell that I'm not a believer of that. I believe that we do need to talk about it, and that's why I showed up today. As far as my best friend's losses go, senior year of high school, man, that's a tough time. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing with my life. I'm supposed to have everything figured out. And we found out about my best friend's brother early on senior year. It was fall. And I remember feeling very helpless. I didn't know how to comfort them. You know, we had been going through this for years now. And I remember my family was out of state because it was Thanksgiving, and I wasn't able to attend the funeral. And I felt very guilty for that I wasn't able to be there for my friend. So, as I kind of mentioned, there wasn't space or time given to us as students to process our loss. Sure, there were extra counselors on site, but at that time, I didn't know a single teenager that would be comfortable leaving class, walking to the counselor's office. I know for myself personally, I remember, and this is silly to say now, but I was worried who was gonna see me walk to the counselor's office. What are they gonna say about me? What rumors are they gonna spread? High school's already rough. I would have given anything for my teachers to sit down with us, or a teacher, tell us, put your books away, let's sit down and let's talk, let's process this. So, how did I get to where I am now? I had to do a lot of reflecting on this one. And I will preface this with saying, I don't think, at the time that I was choosing to take these steps that I knew, obviously, that I was coping with my grief. One of the ways that I cope with my grief is distraction and taking action and throwing myself into my work. So with that being said, my junior year of high school, when we were told over the intercom about our 4th suicide loss at Helena High, there was a group of students and I that got together. We were tired of it, and we were angry, I'll be quite honest. We felt like our school wasn't doing anything, they weren't listening to us, and they just didn't get it. And we also understood, I think, at that time that our school could only do so much. So why don't we do something? So I remember there was a particular teacher that let us use his classroom for lunchtime meetings. And there were a group of students and I that would get together regularly and we would just talk, honestly. That's how it started. We would just talk about what we were gonna do about this, yes, but we would just conversate with each other. And then most of those students graduated because they were older than me. And so my best friend and I sat down our senior year and we were like, okay, what now? This kind of fizzled out. And so we decided to start Saving HHS. It started as a Facebook page, but, well, really it started as a group, but we just wanted there to be a space online that people could go to for resources, and also just to know that they're not alone, to have some positive messages out there. I remember we started Wednesday Warriors. So we would post someone different every Wednesday that, it may be someone local or a celebrity that has suffered from mental health challenges. And through Saving HHS, we actually met regularly with our high school principal. He opened his office to us and he let us operate as a club, but not a club, if that makes sense. I like to refer to it as a grassroots organization because that sounds cooler. But the significance of that is that we were 100% student-led. Yes, we had the support of teachers, but at the end of the day, no one could tell us what to do, which is a powerful thing for a teenager. And so we got to do things like work with NAMI and get wristbands printed that had the Suicide Lifeline number on it. And we went through the hallways of our school and we passed out those wristbands. We also did some fundraising. We were able to do youth mental health first aid training as seniors in high school. I remember being the only kids in the room, and that was pretty cool. And, you know, I didn't know it then, but that set the stage for me being here today and working in the field of mental health. Oh, goodness. So when I was asked to speak here today, I did a lot of self-reflecting, and I realized that I've never really been fully comfortable talking and sharing this story, not in a meaningful manner, right? Everyone knows that I'm passionate about this. I work at Show Dare, I volunteer. However, it was hard. I also felt like, oh, this isn't really my story to tell because she was just a girl in my art class, or I didn't really know him, but I knew his girlfriend, or, you know, whatever justification that I wanted to talk myself into. But yet, like I said, those experiences are what shaped me, and I realized that I've been carrying them with me for a long time. I've been grieving too. So, I guess with that being said, this isn't just my story to tell. It's our story to tell. It's the story of a community that was and continues to be impacted by suicide loss. And it's the story of a community that has come together as one. So I encourage you to keep the story going. Don't stop talking about your loved ones. That doesn't mean that you have to be ready to do it right this moment, but when you are ready, talk about it. And it doesn't have to be in like a large room in front of a bunch of people, but share their story. And I would like to say to the current students of Helena High, I love you. I didn't feel comfortable talking about Mr. McKim, of course, because it's so fresh and so recent. However, I do want to say that he was one of the biggest supporters of me and saving HHS when I was in high school. I just remember him always being open to feedback, or when we needed feedback and advice. And I remember him being there when we were getting trained, whenever he could step out of class. And that is what I will remember about Mr. McKim. Thank you for listening.